Welcome to today's webinar on designing a powerful integrated communication strategy. This webinar was first presented to AOK Networks in March of 2021. My name is Leah Powell, and I'm a consultant with the Juniper Solutions Group, providing technical assistance and capacity supports for AOK Networks. I'm going to go over the introduction and purpose and establish some goals for our webinar. So the purpose of today's webinar is to orient AOK coordinators to the theory and practice of integrated marketing communications as a persuasion technique to advance systems change. We want to explore 2 steps that are essential for planning an integrated marketing communications campaign, connect this campaign with planning and also with action learning, and then identify specific actions needed to implement integrated marketing communications into the broader network and into your community. The intended outcome of today's session is to increase the capacity of AOK coordinators in using integrated marketing communications methods as you leverage systems change. For our agenda and timing, I'll let you look at the slide, but what I also want you to do is to grab a pen and a paper to have materials as you work alongside this material. Because this session was originally delivered virtually, we interacted with our colleagues and with each other to be able to dive in and play around with some of these ideas. Your best case would be if you have a colleague or a partner that you might be able to work with, or maybe even another AOK network coordinator who is new to the job, or someone who's done this before and is looking for a refresher. So go ahead, go grab your pen, go grab a paper, and we'll go on. So what is the relationship between integrated marketing, communications, and systems work? Well, let's talk about this. So Harold Burson, the man on the screen right here, he's considered by many to be the godfather of public relations. So what is public relations? Public relations influences policy and behavior when communicated effectively. It motivates individuals or groups to a specific course of action, changing or reinforcing opinions and attitudes. So it's public relations, so relations with the publics. Where marketing, on the other hand, is a different type of communications. We tend to think of this as the creative part of marketing or of communications. So think about the market and think about how and why people choose to purchase a product, how they make a service, how they choose a service. So marketing ranges from creating a brand identity, such as a look, feel, motivating and inspiring stakeholders with color and imagery, or creating promotional outward materials that build awareness, acceptance, community, and participation. So it's kind of a feeling, right? I don't know if any of you are familiar with the YMCA, but the YMCA spent some years updating and revising their logo. So if you remember back in the day, it was a black, sharp-edged letter Y with a red triangle right in the middle. And the red triangle is there to identify their vision and mission towards mind, body, and spirit, for example. So there's 3 parts in a triangle, and then that was always present. So over the last few years, what they've done is they've updated the color, they've updated the Y, so now it has softer, rounder edges. It's no longer the sharp black and red, but it's sometimes seen as light blue and purple or pink and light greens to really help create a feeling about the organization. So that's the marketing team that really worked on that. PR and marketing are tools and resources that are used for influence. So there's different channels that are used to engage in communications. There's different channels that are used for persuasion. So think about those, maybe write a couple down as you think about what tools that you've seen used to influence or change people's minds or engage in a product. Integrated marketing communications brings these 2 ideas together. So it is the idea of bringing words and persuasion, these kind of public relations, together with visuals. Some of these visuals are also known as channels and different ways that we might engage with people, these types of materials, if you will. At its best, integrated marketing communications is the art of persuasion. The consistency in visuals and messaging increases trust, and ultimately it increases buy-in. This allows your influence as an AOK coordinator to grow in your community as you are trying to engage partners, as you're trying to change systems, build systems, bring people together to make the world a better place for children and families. Integrated marketing communications advances a viewpoint for adoption and acceptance in the public using visual storytelling such as video vignettes. Maybe you've seen some of these on social media aligned messaging frameworks. So sometimes these ideas could all be connected. There could be a little video blurb that matches the same color as a nice picture that's used on social media. Sometimes we see this as a full campaign. I often think of when I learn about a book, I'm a big reader. So I might hear about that book on NPR on Morning Edition. I might see that book talked about on one of my favorite podcasts, such as Terry Gross, Fresh Air with Terry Gross. Maybe it's on the Today Show. Maybe I see a news story or a magazine blurb about that same book. So someone is working behind the scenes in integrated marketing communications to create the cover of the book, the cover design, to have a promotion campaign, and then to distribute that campaign across all sorts of different channels. So if you take some time to look at this circle here, we can see what these channels are. Here's some examples. We have social media, multimedia, email marketing, print media, direct mail, search engines, websites, sharing, videos, public relations, blogs, and so forth. At the time that I'm making this recording, we're actually in an election season in Illinois, which at any time you listen to this, you're probably going to be in an election campaign season. So there are direct mail, I'm receiving direct mail, I'm receiving texts, I'm receiving phone calls, I'm seeing stuff on my social media. A lot of people are telling me to vote, when to vote, how to vote, where to vote, who to vote for, issues that are important. So all of these things are part of an integrated marketing communications campaign, really to create persuasion, to help people come along and bring awareness to an issue. Crafting and implementing a strategic integrated marketing communications campaign can leverage your power to create sustainable systems change. What it does is it brings data, it brings planning, it brings structure, and iterative assessment to life. Tools and practices that you already use. These are transferable skills that you've been using as you've been learning how to be an AOK network, and then you're just applying them to a communication strategy. You can practice this too. So I'm going to ask you to grab that piece of paper and look at these different channels that you see here and maybe mark down some of your favorites where you have tried a campaign. You could put a little star next to it. And some that you might want to try, put a little heart next to that one. And some that have been effectively persuasive for you. Remembering that the purpose of these channels and the purpose of this type of an integrated marketing communications campaign is to bring awareness to services or issues. This exercise of jotting these things down will help you see these different channels by category to help you deepen your insights. What you can also do is put a little marker and kind of note what is public relations and what is marketing. So you can have a little note for each one of those. PR for public relations and M for marketing. So think about this. Email marketing, speeches, a media campaign, community relations campaign, those all fall into public relations, where, say, wearing red in the month of February is a campaign that the American Red Cross does to raise awareness about heart disease in women. That's more of a marketing campaign. Okay, so how do we craft our own integrated marketing communications plan? What we want you to be able to do next is to be able to create a marketing communications plan that has clear objectives. What I want you to do is to think about a communications effort that you tried that worked well. You can hold that in your head or you can jot that down on a piece of paper. A campaign could mean anything. It could be an email, it could be a flyer, or something more comprehensive. And today what we're going to do is spend a little bit of time on the research part of the legwork that gets a campaign going. What I have displayed here is a marketing communications strategy that will set you up for success. So there's 6 elements here. So we have research. What is the research that you do in preparation for your campaign? We have objective. What is the objective of your campaign? Who are your target audiences? What channels did you use to reach those audiences? What messages or visuals did you use? How did you track the success of your campaign? So these 6 elements, when they're all put together, they can help set you up for success. Starting here, we're going to look at what is the objective of the campaign. And this kind of preparation, so there's a saying that I've heard, it is prior preparation prevents poor performance. So this type of research, this type of preparation, taking the time to lay out all of these elements can really help set you up for success. And that is really thinking clearly and strategically about the purpose and the objective of your campaign to make sure that you get the outcomes that you're looking for from your campaign. So if your campaign is to have more social media likes, that's great, but what will social media likes get you? You're looking for an objective, a purpose, perhaps a change in behavior, a persuasion, an action to be taken by the audiences who are receiving the message of your campaign. So one of the things that I like to do is this idea of if this, then that. So that's really looking at the big picture, so kind of a cause and effect, a logic model, a theory. So if I do this, then we will see this happen. So let me read this here. If I develop a strategic and integrated marketing communications plan with clear objectives, targeted audiences, diverse channels, and integrated messaging and creative elements, then I will see increased awareness and visibility. I will have an enhanced image, more credibility and trust, more participation, maybe more families served, a shift in stakeholder attitudes, values, and beliefs, systems change, more funding. So in the green, we have kind of a laundry list of things that could happen from a well-planned, strategic, integrated marketing and communications plan. So if we plan, then we will see changes, kind of a purpose and intention. So this really helps us to frame, helps us get focused on why we're here and what we're doing. And it's so great to always return to what is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of my communication? If I do this, if I do a marketing piece, what is the purpose of that? What is the outcome? What is the desired outcome that I hope to see from a direct mail? If I'm an elected official, someone who's trying to run for office, do I want more people to vote for me? Do I want more people to not vote for the other candidate? Do I want more people to register to vote? Do I want more people to turn out to early vote? So making sure that the intention is clear will really help you with strategic planning. So it's very important to sketch out this working plan. And today we're going to focus on these 3 pieces here: research, objectives, and targeted audiences. Integrated marketing communications does require strategic planning. A plan provides structure to help you develop a consistent message. It helps you tailor images across different audiences and channels, assign roles and responsibilities to your team, and track progress while you adjust. The final plan will include the following: targeted audiences, the channels or media you will use to engage your audiences, clear and consistent messages to be used across all of your different platforms, creative design plan with images, layout, color, materials that have a clear and consistent look and feel, and then measurement of activities, including some type of a process to track that continuous learning and iteration. So what's working, what's not working, where do we need to shift, pivot, persevere, adjust, and so forth. And we really also want to know resources, who is on our team, and then what is our timeline. Working backwards, if we want to have a document or a piece published by a certain date, and I'll use the example again of voting. So if election day is, say, June 28th, or if it's November 6th, working backwards, if we want people to turn out to vote, what day should they receive the material? If early voting ends on a certain day, what day should they receive the communication? So today, as I said, we're going to dive into those objectives and research on our audiences to help with that decision making. So step 1, defining the objective of your plan. So what are the objectives of an integrated strategic communications plan? These are some key questions that you should consider as you choose your plan's objective. What is your preferred outcome of this increased communication? What is the risk of not increasing communication to this set of stakeholders? What does success look like at the end of your campaign? What outcome have you achieved? What is different? What is new? Or what has changed? For greatest success, align your objectives with your AOK objectives. So for example, I'll use some type of an example. So my preferred outcome of an increased communication is that more families turn out to my community's farmers market. What is the risk of not increasing communication to this set of stakeholders? In this case, my stakeholders are families. The risk is that they do not know that the farmers market exists, or they do not know the start and end time, they do not know the location, and so we do not have high participation of parents. Children are not getting nutritious food, parents are not getting nutritious food, and then we are contributing to unhealthy habits related to food and nutrition. What does success look like at the end of your campaign? So if I've been successful at my campaign, I will have had more families and children who are receiving food from the local farmers market using the SNAP program. So they're able to access low cost or free fresh fruit and fresh vegetables every Saturday in my town square, from my town square. So what's new or different or changed is that families before the campaign did not have access to low cost or free fresh fruit and vegetables. After the campaign, more families, and we'll talk about what does more mean, they have more access to fresh fruit and vegetables. And here are some sample objectives here. And I'll let you take a look at that. But these are focused around awareness, credibility and trust, serving more families, advancing our objectives, recruiting partners, increasing participation, advancing policy, influencing attitudes, values, and beliefs. So the next step, also very important, is to structure your plan with a budget. So it's very important to look at the budget that you have, the funds that you have. Think about any in-kind funds, donations, any people on your board who may have experience with marketing communications campaign. At the end of the day, you really want to consider how much you should spend for your campaign. You want to have a realistic budget, look at the funds you already have and that you may already be using. That might include printing and different technology. You can solicit donations from partners, get some people to give of their time, talent, expertise. Best practice does suggest that you spend between 10 and 20% of your time, so in a 7-hour week, 10 to 20% of your hours on marketing communications activities. At first, this might seem like a lot. When your main work is providing updates, reaching out and following up with partners, hosting meetings, hosting events, planning an agenda, following up, you quickly realize that probably as much as 50% of your time is already dedicated to marketing and communications activities. Financially, if you have the dollars, how much should you spend? About 1% of your budget. So if you have a $100,000 budget, then $1,000 a year. I think that's right. This marketing mix is chosen based on those objectives that we wrote and your available budget. So there's a lot of free stuff that's out there. You want to leverage anything that's free, leverage events and activities that are already taking place, and try to piggyback on the money that somebody else is already spending to help promote your activity if you are working with a low budget, which most of us are. Step 3 in our planning and preparation. Who are your audiences? So we really want to spend some time thinking about these target audiences or stakeholders. We want to be able to have a message that is specific to their values, to their needs, to their preferences, And that will increase the likelihood that they will become and stay engaged with our work. When your messages are responsive and tailored to these audiences, the impact can be more powerful. So some key questions for you to ask. What is an outcome of increased communication? What is a value for them? That's what's in it for me for increased communication. So I find it helpful to make a table, and all of these materials are available for you so that you can see them, but to make a list of who your audiences might be. So are they partners, families, your supervisor, public officials such as elected officials, heads of departments, heads of agencies? Column 1, or column 2, I guess. Column 1 is your audience. Column 2 is the outcome of the increased communication. And this is really a rough brainstorm. So if I have more communication with my partners, maybe I'll see more trust. Then they're going to know what's happening. And then what's the value for them? That's in our third column. They say and feel that their time is well invested. They know what's expected of them, and they know when they're expected to do something. Creates more trust. Families. More communication helps them know what is available. That can result in more referrals being made, more requests for help, more families being served, and family voice being captured, which always improves our systems change work. What's in it for them? For a family, they get the information that they're looking for. It helps them to save time so that the cost of engaging with your AOK network doesn't feel effortful. And then they also get to directly contribute to improving the system. Supervisors, they can have more clarity about the work that you're doing. Maybe they don't know, and this is a way for you to help tell a story, help to promote and show some wins of the work that you're doing so that they can continue to support you and advocate for the AOK network. The supervisor also will feel that their time is well invested if they're getting this good communication. They're understanding how the AOK network adds value to their other programs, and it creates cross-program efficiencies. And same with public officials. So an outcome of increased communication with a public official is that they might want to provide free PR, freebies, leverage influence. So that's a result that could happen is you get some publicity. And what's in it for them is they get to take credit. They get to say, hey, look at this amazing thing that's happening in our county, that's happening in our city, that's happening in our community, in our region. So taking the time to really think through the research part of your audiences, targeting the stakeholders, understanding their values and their needs and their preferences will go a long way to your successful campaign. Next, what you want to do is to sketch out a working plan. Integrated marketing communications require strategic planning. A plan provides structure to help you develop a consistent message, tailor images across different audiences, channels, assign roles and responsibilities to your team, and track progress and make those adjustments. Again, your final plan will include all of these elements that you see here. Here are some examples of working plans, and what I'll do is I'll share these into the AOK box so that you can have files to look through and see what a working plan might look like. I like to think of this as the ideal versus reality. So we can spend a lot of time coming up with a fancy and formal template, but at the end of the day, it is almost like a task list of moving your activities from here to there. There's often many pieces, as we've shown, in an integrated marketing communications campaign between messaging, social media, images, placement of images, the stories that are going to be told, different stories to different audiences, and so forth. You want to have some type of a spreadsheet or some type of a document to help keep you on track. It will manage your resources and it will manage your timing. I always say just do your best. So sketching something out provides structure for you. It'll give clarity both to you and to any partners who are involved in the campaign. Leave no stone unturned and let people ask questions so that everybody is on the same page. A structure and a plan helps to provide accountability and a way to communicate your progress as kind of a big picture. It's a project management tool to keep you on track and to keep the team on track. We call this a sketch because it is a living, dynamic document. A working plan should and will evolve as you implement your campaign. So what I'm including in the file, you'll see a couple of campaigns that were used for an elected official campaign, someone who was running for office, a product launch, a community project, and also a big plan for a conference, just to give some examples. So what core insights will make our integrated marketing communications strategy more powerful? What we want to be able to do is to describe the decision-making journey and understand how each stage of this journey requires its own approach or strategy. So the decision being the audience who's receiving your message. Once they get a message, then they take some time to process the information that's been received. After they process that information, then they make a decision. What does that journey look like? And how do we adapt? How do we bring our words and our visuals to that campaign? And how do we adjust as we go to make sure that our impact is very powerful? Well, first what we do is we go slow to go far. So we break it down step by step, and we remember that planning is important. So we don't really jump in. We want to make sure we have a clear objective, that we want to know where we're going. We take our time to be thoughtful and have each of these elements mapped out. So what do advocacy campaigns, political campaigns, big brand sales efforts, and social issue movements all have in common? The answer is they all succeed or fail based on campaign discipline and structure. So I'll say it one more time. Prior planning and preparation prevents poor performance of your campaign. So we go slow to go far. And one of those things for going slow to go far is to understand the decision-making journey of your targeted audiences. So they are not a passive audience. They are human, they process information, and there is some science and some research that backs up that there is a three-step process in how decisions are made by consumers. So step one is there is an awareness. So in this example here, you have a lead that you're trying to engage. They have a concern of some sort. Maybe they do not know, so the point person could be the parent who wants to go to the farmer's market. They don't know about the farmer's market. They're hungry, they're looking for a way to access fresh fruit and vegetables. They find a flyer from your AOK network, and they learn about you, and they learn about the offer that you're presenting to address the issue. Your flyer says there's a farmer's market that takes SNAP cards or SNAP benefits every Friday in the town square. Well, the parent is going to get this flyer, and depending on where they are, did they pick it up at the library? Did they pick it up at the grocery store? Do they have their children with them? Are they on their own? Are they tired? Are they hungry? Do they have access to their car today and tomorrow? So in this stage, all of the stuff is going on for your consumer, and they're considering this new information that just was presented to them. So they're going to consider, what are the costs? What are the costs of my time? What's the cost of gas? What's the cost of mental effort? What's the cost of bringing my kids along? All of these things are going to be considered as they're engaging with this flyer that they just received. Then they make a decision. So they make a decision to engage or to not engage with this offering, and they take or they do not take action in the next step. So this is the decision-making journey of your audience. So whether it is professionals that you're working with, peers in community systems development, an on-site supervisor, community members, parents, etc. So by understanding these three main stages of decision-making in consumer engagement, you will be better prepared to ask questions and gather key data about the needs and preferences of your target audience. So as I said in the last slide, this understanding is the first, and really it's the most important step in crafting a successful integrated marketing and communications plan. So again, in that awareness stage, you may introduce your solution your AOK network, your partnership, promoting partnership for the network, a membership agreement. As they consider, your contact is going to consider that information. This is when you can ask questions. They might ask questions to grow their understanding. They might want to get more detailed information about your solution. So if I'm thinking about a parent who's learning about the farmer's market, they might want to know, how do I get there? Is there a bus that takes me there? Are there bags? Do I need to have cash with me? Do they take benefits? All of those types of questions they're going to want to know, and then if you can answer that, that's going to help make the decision-making process faster and easier for them. They really want to decide if this engagement is a valuable investment of their time or other scarce resources. And again, at the action, this is where the contact makes their decision. They may choose to try it on. They might try to go one time. But this is really the meat. The center section, this consideration, is the key point of influence where you can actually make an impact in decision making. And this understanding of the decision making journey really helps you to develop content. So why does this matter? Knowing the stages of the decision making journey helps us tailor our communications to the audience and their needs. When we are more responsive, we are more effective. By understanding the problem that you're solving for these different audiences, the what's in it for me, you are able to identify shared interests while you address their unique needs in the decision journey. Some of your contacts may take a long time to make a decision, and others may be quick to decide, to take action. The decision-making journey will vary by your audience. Here are some tips. This consideration stage, again, is the most powerful stage when nurturing engagement with your contacts. This is where you listen to their concerns, to their hopes. You listen for potential obstacles and other needs. And then you respond with openness, clarity, and responsive options where you can. Where can you be powerful during this middle consideration stage? Here are some tips. The main ones are really to ask questions and listen with passion, and then answer questions and make adjustments with sincerity. How might you do this in real life? What tips for consideration stage would you share from any type of recruitment or engagement work? I'd suggest that you pause this webinar and talk to your partner and have a conversation about this. So let's practice. Here we want to understand what we've learned today and be able to connect it to work that you're already doing by naming our practices and mapping out new ideas. So as an activity, what we want you to do is to look at the sample objectives. On your own, you can brainstorm some campaign ideas. What objective would you like to try? Who could be your target audience? What do you know about them right now? And then with your partner, explore that decision-making journey. Ask yourselves, what does the audience know right now? What are their priorities? What are their preferences? What is a problem or concern that you share? The what's in it for me? What are their needs? Name some obstacles to engagement that this partner might share during the consideration stage, and what are some strategies that come to mind to address these obstacles? Now, in real life, what we would do is, of course, we would never guess. So especially this bottom section, we would go outside, whether it's virtually or in real life or calling somebody on the phone, to really learn more about what their needs are. So we would ask questions and gather real data if we were doing this in real life. All right, so choose one objective from our list. Brainstorm a list of stakeholders. Consider these questions when determining your key stakeholder. These audiences or stakeholders would be the people who would be the focus of your campaign. Part 3, create this table. So what do they know now? What is a shared concern? What are some considerations and some actions? And in column 1, just do one type of audience that you would like to engage. And then when you're on your own after this webinar, feel free to fill it in. And what I have here is just a sample example so that you can see how it might be filled in. So we have the Happy Neighborhood Foundation Director of Grants as my target audience. My objective is to reinforce the decision of funders and stakeholders that my AOK network is a good investment. What do they know now? They know that we're in the community. We have a shared concern that we prioritize meeting basic needs of families who are living in poverty. What obstacles prevent them from addressing a shared concern? What is hard? What would make it easier? Well, they do not provide direct service as a funder. They do not know all of the providers of services in our community. They have many competing priorities, especially during these pandemic times. They're unsure about AOKs. A warm referral to give validation of our work would make it easier to connect. Here are some action ideas to address these obstacles. Well, we have a broad network with 25 members who directly serve families in poverty. An introduction can help them get to know more of the providers of services in our area. We have evidence how our collaborative systems work, how it meets their philanthropy vision with great effectiveness. We have some data that we can share. And what we're going to do is have a member send a letter to help address their concern of not knowing us that well. So that will be a warm referral to help give validation to the work and to help provide some data. So what we're trying to do is think about matching an integrated marketing approach with the way that real humans actually live, work, and learn. So we can always make this marketing mix led by our objective, framed by our budget, or kind of anchored by that budget, how much money we have or don't have, time, talent of others, and so forth. All right, so the next time that we engage, what we want to do is really work on sketching out that working plan by bringing together those channels to engage, clear messaging, and those creative elements. So today we did talk about the importance of research, preparing, putting together a clear objective, thinking about our resources, a little bit of timelines, and really truly thinking through our targeted audiences. Again, reminding ourselves that integrated marketing communications require strategic planning. What's key is to develop that consistent messaging while also tailoring content across your different audiences and channels. Research, set clear objectives, what's visionary, what will be an outcome, what will we see as a result of this communication. Again, identifying those audiences, researching a bit to help target your engagement approach to different audiences, identifying the channels you will use, coming up with a good mix based on what you can afford in time and money, and of course what your audience prefers. And then those clear messages that really address your audiences directly for their needs and preferences. As always with the AOK networks, it's so important for us to continue that cycle of continuous improvement. The pilot action learning cycle helps to connect the process of integrated marketing communications planning to the reality of implementing a campaign. So we always want to figure out what is and is not working and to adapt for better results. We want to loop our insights from continuous learning and adaptive action into all of our strategic work. This is also used in integrated marketing communications planning. It's where we figure out what is working and what is not working so that we can adapt to get better, more impactful results. We pivot or we persevere by looking at data. What does the data tell us? Are people responding to our campaign, or are we getting no response to our emails at all? So we can look when we send an email, how many people opened it? How many clicked on the link? How do we adapt at each step of the way to get more engagement from the materials that we're sending out to people? Campaign strategy and design And implementation is an iterative process where strategies are made more powerful, effective, and scalable through small cycles of preparing, implementing, learning, and adapting. The clear objectives that you set in step 2 provide you with a clear, focused path towards progress. That's your aspirational vision. That's where you're trying to go. To measure impact and to iterate, we start by testing and evaluating a series of these kind of small experiments. So in your plan, you're going to come up with this marketing mix. You're going to come up with some words, some messages, some channels, some ways to engage people. You're going to do a couple of these, and then you're going to track progress. But you're not going to wait a whole year. You don't even need to wait 6 months. You can send an email, see the response, and then adapt and adjust. You might get many small wins that you achieve as you work towards this main objective. By measuring the impact of your engagement efforts daily or weekly, it is likely that you will adjust and adapt your plan along the way. And that's what you should be doing. And just always as a reminder, take some time to think about that. So which steps of the prepare, implement, learn, and adapt or pilot process do you routinely use as part of your work? Are there steps that you frequently miss? What are some implications of missing those steps? And how have you experienced those implications? So what we really want to kind of reinforce both with an integrated marketing communications campaign and with all of our AOK work is that we weave in pilot and continuous learning. We walk the talk, we live the value of this important step so that we are always adapting and adjusting and so that our work is always dynamic and working towards greater outcomes. I'd love for you to just take a few minutes to identify kind of those strengths or areas of need. There's a self-assessment that's included in the AOK box. You can just let us know where you were at the beginning of the session and then where you feel like you are now. What other skills do you need? Where do you feel ready? Where do we have skills to build? So just let us know. So reach out to the AOK coordinator or to your closest partner and just let us know where you need some more training. Until we meet again, just take some time to jot down what you will try that is new and what you will continue. I appreciate your taking the time to spend 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour on our webinar, and I look forward to seeing you in the second session of this topic. Have a nice day. Thank you.